Yes, my friends. Life does imitate art. You know, that is a reality. It's nothing fictional. And I couldn't think of a better way, to put it to you other than putting it in a comedic form for something that is actually 100% serious. But I wanted to take this opportunity to not just bang on the homosexuals today. And I wanted to actually bang on the whole white hype creation altogether and let people know that this is a reality in boxing. Realities in boxing is something that I guess as boxing fans, we want to escape. But this is one thing that you can't escape, man. You can't escape that all these boxers, they do steroids. I don't care who your favorite boxer is. I don't care who you like. I don't care who you think is 100% um, uh, just drug free or whatever like that. It's not true. It's not true. You're going to have to accept that reality. Fixed fights. You're going to have to accept that reality. Look at Deontay Wilder and Luis Ortiz. Look at Deontay Wilder and Malik Scott. Look at Floyd Mayweather and the Costello fight. People get cheated, and cheating does go on in boxing, and scorecards get fudged, and fighters use steroids. These are the realities. You can't get around them just because you don't like it or you don't want to face the music. These are realities. And one of the realities that you have to face is the myth and the engineered tool of a great white hype. This is why they don't get the same pressure, and they don't get the same they don't get the same criticism as minority fighters. A lot of boxing fans want to deny this, but we all know it's true. Okay? We won't say it in front of anybody else. You know what I'm saying? But in the back of our minds, we all know. I'm just that person who just doesn't care, and I'm willing to say it, and I'm willing to show you, And since I've always dedicated the Sundays to people of a certain mindset who likes to indulge in other things that's outside of boxing to try to bring, just the nasty nature of being a human and living in America and driving that into boxing. I have to point that out because I like escaping in fantasy, because life is so harsh and it's so mean and it's so fucked up, and one of those fantasies I like to escape to is boxing. So I take it personal, and I get particularly pissed off when people bring feminism in boxing, when people bring racism in boxing, when people bring politics into boxing, when people bring, what I'm saying? It's all the shit that I don't want. It's just one thing that I think boxing can be the most fair sport out there because it's man against man, mano y mano. There is no arguing after that. He beats you, and that's just it. But, you just can't keep it at that anymore. But anyways, before I get too lost in what this video was about, I wanted to speak on none other than the infamous Triple G. See, before there was a Deontay Wilder, there was a Triple G, and I can't help but the fact that we would ridicule so many other boxers, Floyd, Charlo, Spence, just any boxer that's ducking and fighting bums and stuff like that. And, when Triple G has been one of the biggest bum fighting fighters out there who got all the credit and all the accolades simply because he had the complexion for the protection. But of course, when it comes out of my mouth, it can't be true. I would have to be pushing a narrative, because the people that it's a very small group or maybe a very large group. I don't know who's undercover. Some would say that I'm pushing a narrative because those people are more worried about my complexion than actually the content and what's actually coming out of my mouth, as if I can't be honest about a certain fighter and be a certain color simultaneously. So I jumped at the opportunity for my man Max Kellerman to lay it out how it is. And finally, just like Paula Malignaggi, Max Kellerman is one of my favorite people to listen talk about boxing, because he actually has substance and he actually has character. You know what I'm saying? And he's not afraid to tell the truth. So since Max Kellerman fit the complexion for the protection, I'll let him once again lay down what I've already said about Triple G. Let's get into it.
But unlike Spence Porter, the wrong guy got the decision. I had Derevianchenko 8-4 in rounds by 3 points, 115-112, because of the knockdown Triple G scored. Could have seen it 7-5, so a point for Derevianchenko, but it's hard for me to see Triple G as the winner here. This is now the 4th fight in a row against a top middleweight in which Triple G has gone the distance. Before he faced Daniel Jacobs, the best middleweight he'd been in with to that point, Golovkin had stopped 23 consecutive opponents. Many were world class, none were elite middleweights. Soon as he started facing the best in the division, the very best, the knockouts stopped. Even the winning has slowed down. Jacobs was close. Thought Triple G won the first Canelo fight, but was given a draw. Thought he lost the rematch, and the judges agreed. So including the Derevianchenko fight, Triple G is now officially 2-1-1 with no knockouts in his last 4 fights against top middles. The only fights against the cream of the 160-pound crop he's ever had in his entire professional career. On my unofficial card, he's 500 against those top guys. Yes, sandwiched between Canelo and Derevianchenko, Triple G knocked out Steve Rolls, who was undefeated but not considered on this level. But even Rolls seemed to have an easy time landing his own big shots. And that was always the question about Triple G. Did he look like the boogeyman because he was fighting inferior opposition, and as soon as he stepped up, he got exposed? Or was it simply a shame that he couldn't land big fights when he was in his prime, and that by the time he did land those big fights, he was framed as overrated because by then he was too old to show what he could have really done once upon a time? The most unsatisfying, but probably most sensible answer is it's some of both. I've been accused of shilling for Triple G when I was at HBO. Never did. Thought he was the best value for your entertainment dollar in the entire world back then. But I never had him as the best pound-for-pound fighter. I don't think I even ever had him as high as number 3. He hadn't proved it yet. But I admit, I suspected, when given the chance, he'd make a good case. Not as good a case as Floyd Mayweather or Manny Pacquiao or Andre Ward, but better than, say, Canelo, who I expected him to beat convincingly. Looking back, he never did prove it. And looking ahead, I don't think he ever will.
Now, Max Kellerman is correct. He never did prove it, but he never had to. And the question is, why? He never proved it, but everybody swore this man was pound for pound. You notice that? Andre Ward tried to fight him. He avoided the fight to the point Andre Ward moved up to beat a Sergey Kovalev. A Sergey Kovalev, which now people giving Canelo Alvarez pound for pound #1 for beating. When Andre Ward beat Sergey Kovalev, he was still Sergey Kovalev. Like I said before, he beat the quit out of him. And when Canelo made that fight, he knew he was a broken man. But back to Triple G. They said this man was better than Marvin Hagler. I know some of you remember that. All while fighting the Steve Rolls of the world. He's never had the pressure put on him as a Roy Jones Jr. has had put on him. You know, as much as we love Roy Jones now, people forget that when Roy Jones was in his prime, one of the main complaints that people had about Roy Jones is he did not stand in the middle and bang. He boxed too much. Yes, the great Roy Jones Jr., who everybody gives credit to right now to this day, when he was in his prime, they complained that he did not stand in the middle and just fight. They hated that he boxed. Notice, when minority fighters box, it's considered boring and cowardly, right? But yet, the so-called pound-for-pound fighter that they try to push on you, Vasily Lomachenko, is a technician. His style matches that of a so-called black fighter, which is technical. Okay? This is why I always said before, to be truthful, people say Mexican style and black fighters are boring. That's because they're the only true technicians, which means they're the only true essential boxers if you leave it up to those people's standards in the way they look at things. Because boxing is the art of getting hit and not getting hit. That's boxing. Not standing in the middle and getting your head beat in. But that's what they wanted Roy Jones to do. That's what they wanted Floyd to do. But when Vasily Lomachenko executes the technician or the sweet science, it's considered special. It's considered rare. They've never seen it before. Even though you have Floyd Mayweather, Pernell Whitaker, Zab Judah, plenty of them. But they never quite got those accolades for that talent. But Vasily Lomachenko did. Floyd is accused of ducking everybody in the world. But Triple G was never accused of ducking anybody. And when you look at the resumes, it's clear to see that he fought bums the majority of his career, which is identical to Deontay Wilder, which nobody has a problem seeing that he fights bums. Once again, it's a double standard, and it's the reality of boxing. You could get mad, you could get upset, but I'm a man's man. I can stand in front of the truth and look at it as it is. It is what it is. But in the end, Triple G was just another great white hype.
The great white hype.